Good morning, it is Monday, March 30th, and this is your forecast for today. So looking at temperatures across the nation today, we saw that cold front move through yesterday. We also see that cold front kind of bending down to the south. So we see the temperatures being pulled up into the 80s into parts of Georgia. And then we see really some 60s and some nicer temperatures back through parts of the Midwest. But you can also note too, the further towards the Northeast you get, the colder it gets due to that you can kind of almost see it, that jet stream dip right there. So that's all brought about because of the cold front that came through with that storm system over the weekend, and then we're going to kind of warm up, and we'll see during midweek what will all be going on. So we do have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms across parts of western Oklahoma and the northern part of the Texas Panhandle, then also across parts of Louisiana. So we're about to check out the energy, but you can kind of see that L shape there. We're going to see kind of two systems that are going to be tracking. There is a northern and there is a east-northeast one, and they're both coming out of that point. You kind of see it right in the middle of Texas. You can see kind of the direction they're going to be trailing in, and we're going to see where the reflectivity is showing it and where that cape is at, the most unstable cape, and that's going to allow us to see really where all the storms are going to be produced. So looking throughout the day, we're going to see a lot of these storms kind of fire up. So we're going to look at, let's just take a 15Z, so we're looking in the morning hours. We see there are kind of some scattered thunderstorms across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Then we see kind of that change to a really severe it's weird because the energy is all kind of different in the area that it's in. So it's kind of going into an area with no energy overall, but it is carrying energy. So we're seeing really some of this kind of produced throughout the day. So looking at the reflectivity as we go through like 16, 17, and 18, we start to see some of these storms fire up out of Texas. We see some bigger systems starting to make their way in, and that's really because of the daytime heating. Looking back at the temperatures, you remember that we see those 60s and up into the 70s across this part, and that's going to allow for some convection. So that's why we have that marginal threat over central Oklahoma. Just going back through it again, looking at, really the earlier in the day you are, we see kind of some weaker individual cells, and then really it starts firing up around 16Z. We're seeing some of that build, and then 17 we see it in the central Oklahoma through Arkansas, and all the way up until 21Z. That's where we're going to see in that mid-afternoon time is where we're going to see these big systems start to form. You can also note too, we see all the way up there where we saw those thunderstorms up in Idaho and across Oregon and Washington into Montana. Those are also going to be there, but that's why our focus is kind of that L, is because everything's traveling to the north or east-northeast. So looking at our most unstable cape, we have a few readings here. We have one from the 15Z, which is our morning hours. We have our 18Z, which is kind of our mid-afternoon, and then we see our 21Z, which is our late afternoon into the evening. So we can kind of see where the energy is centered around Texas. So you may not see that really red, those higher numbers traveling into Oklahoma, but something to keep in mind is see how the system's kind of rotating to the north. It's pushing more energy up into the system. So that's going to allow for some daytime heating to really use that convection. So, the cap is holding over Texas. That's why it looks like it's going to be really severe over Texas, but we're not actually going to see a whole lot in the southern part of Texas. We're going to see it training from Texas into the north. So just expect overall a kind of stormy day. So looking back over it again, it's not going to be a huge severe day, but because, we see that slight, such a small area, but that's kind of some isolated supercells that we could see producing. And across the whole thunderstorm region, we will see rain pretty much the whole day traveling to the north. Across the nation, we have some heavy wind gusts, so that's what you can kind of expect out of it today. And yeah, we'll check out the threat for tomorrow, but it's looking pretty similar to today. So have a great day, and thank you again for listening, and join us tomorrow morning for your forecast for Tuesday.